Once upon a time in the vibrant town of Maplewood, there lived a little boy named Callum. Callum had curly auburn hair, bright freckles sprinkled across his cheeks, and a curious mind that was always buzzing with questions. However, there was one question that Callum struggled with more than the rest: who am I? You see, Callum didn't quite feel like he fit in. His classmates had diverse backgrounds, with families coming from places near and far. Some had rich traditions and languages that they would proudly speak about during the show and tell. Callum, however, didn't think he had anything special to share. His family didn't have stories of faraway lands or unique traditions that he thought were noteworthy. This made Callum feel as though he was just ordinary. One sunny morning, Callum's grandmother, Gran Elsie, came to visit. She was full of stories herself, with laughter that could light up the entire room. Seeing Callum's downcast face, she asked gently, "What's the matter, my dear?" Callum sighed and told Gran Elsie about his worries. With a knowing smile, Gran Elsie took Callum by the hand and led him to the attic. In a dusty old trunk, she revealed treasures of their family's past. There were photographs of Callum's ancestors, journals filled with dreams and adventures, and a quilt that Gran Elsie had made from scraps of fabric that had traveled through generations. "That quilt tells our story," Gran Elsie explained, pointing to different squares. "See this piece here? That's from your great-great-grandmother's dress, worn during the first winter she spent in this town. And this square here, it was part of the tablecloth where your great-grandfather proposed to your great-grandmother." Callum's eyes widened with wonder. Each square of the quilt had its own rich history. Gran Elsie continued, recounting tales of bravery, love, and joy that were a part of Callum's heritage. That evening, Callum lay in bed, the quilt tucked snugly around him, each piece whispering its own story. He realized that he had a tapestry of tales to share, just like everyone else, and in fact, something unique that belonged only to him. The next day, show and tell was transformed. With the quilt draped around his shoulders, Callum stood in front of his class, his voice full of pride as he spoke. "This quilt was made by my Gran Elsie. Each piece has a story from my family, some from here, and others from places we've long since left." Callum told of his great-grandmother's creative spirit and his great-grandfather's adventures, sparking curiosity and admiration among his peers. From that day forward, Callum realized he was a part of something bigger. He understood that his heritage was not something to hide or be unsure of, but to celebrate. His sense of belonging blossomed, growing stronger with every story he discovered and shared. With the loving encouragement of Gran Elsie, his family, and his friends, Callum embraced every part of himself. From then on, Callum walked through life with a bounce in his step and pride in his heart. Grateful for the richness of his roots and ready to share the beauty of his unique heritage with the world.